Hi, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, I'm Lauren and I'm the owner of Marty and Milo's studio, and I paint pet portraits. And once that portrait is painted, I put it on a bunch of items such as bookmarks, stickers, greeting cards, prints. And today I'm gonna actually show you how to make bookmarks. And this is a really simple tutorial. It doesn't require any expensive equipment. The most high-tech thing that you actually need is a printer. But even then, I guess you could get them printed somewhere else. So I'm just gonna take you through the process and talk you through the whole thing. And we're gonna make some bookmarks together. So let's get right to it. Alright, so I'm just going to record my screen here so you can see exactly what I'm doing when I start to make my bookmarks. So I use Canva to put things together. I do have Adobe Illustrator just because it's part of the package, the Adobe Creative Suite. I think that's what it's called. I have that, but I'm still kind of learning. I'm focusing my attention on Premiere Pro for video editing right now. So I haven't fully figured out Illustrator. So it can be done on Illustrator if you have that as an option. But Canva is super easy and kind of intuitive to use, so I do like it. I do have a premium Canva subscription, but of course to do this you're not going to need that. So I'm going to just go through, scroll down and actually find my bookmark template that I use. So I created this, and then every time I do a new design, I can just change the image here for a different one, and then I print the bookmarks out the same way all the time, so I get all the different colors on one sheet, and then I print them out front and back. So how did I create this? So let's scroll down to the bottom. There was a little bit of figuring out, and there will be probably for you as well, to figure out how your printer actually works. But you can see here that I have the bookmarks lined up right to the edge of the page. And I can do that because I have borderless printing on my printer. If you don't, then you might have to center them more to the middle of the page so that you don't get any cut off. And you can see on the reverse side here, they're lined up against the bottom of the page. And that's because when I flip it in my printer to print the back side, I know that they're going to be lined up at the end of it. So we could just make them in the middle, so we can do that for now. So we'll recreate this so that we can print them out. So I'm going to add a page, and then what I do is I just go to the elements tool there, and then I am going to search the elements for a rectangle. Oops. Typing in front of other people is always a bit of a challenge. So you grab the shape. It's actually giving me a square, but that's okay because I can resize it. So I'm going to put it up to the edge here, and then we're going to determine how big our bookmark is going to be. So let's just see how big of a bookmark we have here. So if you grab the corners, you can actually see the size of it. So the height is 8 and the width is 2. And I'm guessing this is in inches. I forgot to mention, when you create a new design in Canva, you just go to create, and then if you scroll down to the bottom here, you can see custom size. So you would click on that, and then we're going to choose 8.5 by 11, but it's going to be, because that's the size of our paper, but it's going to be landscape. So we can change the units here to inches, and then we go 11, and then we go 8.5 there. And then there's already a kind of option for that, so we can just click on that because the dimensions are correct. And that's going to give you a blank page. So that's how I got to this point here. I created the the blank page. And actually, I shouldn't have clicked on that brochure option because it's actually given me lines down the middle, but that might be helpful depending on what you're making. So we decided it was 8 inches by 2 inches on the size, so we'll go down 2 inches there and then up to 8 inches there. So you can see now we have the rectangle. You notice on this previous design that it's aligned to the top of the page, which we're going to do again. And then all we have to do then is to click on these 3 little dots here, and then we're going to duplicate that. So when we duplicate it, I can't speak, duplicate, it actually is going to give you exactly the same thing, and so we'll move it along and line it up. So the way that I make them, you don't have to make it this way, and in fact it would probably be easier to cut them up if you keep them all the same color, because if you get, you know, a little bit off your line, then you can, it doesn't matter because they're the same color. The only downside to that is like guidelines. If you have a paper cutter that has accurate measurements on it, you might be able to just kind of measure the 2 by 8 when you're cutting them. But I like to have them different colors so that I can see where exactly I have to cut them. And if I have to trim them down again, it's not a big deal. So again, we go to duplicate, and Canva's pretty smart. It kind of learns what you're trying to do. So this one's perfectly aligned just as it is. I'm going to change the color. So if you notice the colors that I'm picking, I have a brand kit set up on Canva. I don't know if that's a premium feature or not, but I have my brand colors. These are the colors that I use frequently for my social media and everything. So that's the colors that I use for the bookmarks. I thought about maybe introducing some more colors, but I kind of like that they're all kind of muted tones for the markets. When I want my table to be cohesive. I don't want it just like be every color under the rainbow. So even though that would be super fun. So again, we're going to duplicate that rectangle. I'm going to change this one to white this time. And then we're going to duplicate again. And then we're going to change this one to that. My favorite, the teal. So on this one, this is going to be the front of the bookmark. So in the front, we're going to need the design of the animal, whichever animal we're using. So here you would go to uploads and you would upload your designs. So let's do, this is already uploaded. If I wanted to upload the pictures, I could just go to upload files and then you can look at them in your folders there. So we're just going to use this little raccoon. This is Bert. Bert is a popular design at the markets. So we're just going to crop him down a little bit just so that it makes it a little bit easier with the alignment on the bookmark. So we're going to resize him. So just grab the corner there, resize him. I actually just realized that I don't use this design, just the floating head design. I actually have a raccoon with the whole body on there, so I'll probably print those ones out when I go to print them because I want it to be consistent. So here we go, we duplicate again just like we did before with the rectangles. Duplicate, you see it's learning where I want to put it. Duplicate, duplicate. Okay, so now we have our front covers done, easy peasy. The next thing we need to do is to make the back. So to make this a little bit easier for yourself, you can actually just, you can either add a page, which gives you a new blank page, or you can copy the page, so you can duplicate the page. So let's duplicate the page. And then remember with my other designs, the back cover was actually on the bottom of the sheet. And the reason for that is when it flips when I manually flip it to print the back side, it needs to be aligned to the bottom. Editing Lauren here. I managed to lose half of the audio on my video, so hopefully I'll be able to keep along with the video and tell you what I'm doing. If not, I'm gonna have to re-record that part of the video. So let's see how it goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight all of these bookmarks. So I've clicked on all of them, and the reason that I'm doing that, I'm pressing shift at the same time. The reason that I'm doing that is because I want to be able to move all of the bookmarks down to the bottom of the page, because that's where they need to be for the backs of my bookmarks. So I'm selecting everything and moving it down to the bottom of the page. We got to make sure that they're lined up along the edge as well. So now I'm going to delete all these raccoon heads because we don't need those on the back side. We want to have the logo on the back side. So just to make it easier, because I'm not exactly sure where it is in my uploads, I'm just going to copy and paste my logo from these bookmark files that I have already. So you can see that they're upside down because I actually have to flip the bookmark in the printer. So I'm going to select those all. So holding down shift and selecting, or control, I guess, and selecting all of those logos. And then I'm going to paste them, copy and paste them onto the bottom of the bookmark. So if you upload a file and you need to shift it around, you just grab that little double arrow at the bottom and spin it upside down, because they need to be upside down. In my particular printer, I'm not sure about yours, but in my printer, when I flip it around, it needs to be upside down. So now we need to add the little hole. So I put a little circle on there just so that I know where to hole punch it, just to keep consistency throughout the bookmarks. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the elements and search for a circle. And then obviously it's come up with a really big circle. It's way too big for what I need. So I am going to first change the color because I'm not going to be able to see it right now. I'm going to have no fill in the circle, but I do want to have an outline on it. So I go up to the stroke there and then click on a solid line, but then I don't want it to be too bold because I don't want you to be able to see it. When I punch the hole in there, we don't want to be able to see that outline. So I make it as small as possible. So I usually do 0.5, and then I also want to change the color of the stroke. I usually make it a light gray just so that, again, it's not super visible. If I do accidentally kind of punch the hole a little bit off, you're not really going to be able to see it. So I'm just going to position it where I want to position it, and you can see that Canva is really useful. It gives you those guidelines so you know exactly where the middle is. So yeah, you might want to just decide yourself where you want to position it. It might be based on the size of your tassel loop. And then we're going to duplicate that again and just move it along. So we have every single bookmark has its own little punch hole. So we can line it up with those guidelines. So that it's in line with the one beside it, but also centered to the bookmark. And then we duplicate again, and you can see that Canva is learning where I want to put it. So it's starting to automatically put it where it needs to be. All right, so we're good to go and download this document. So you go up to the corner there to share, and you go to download. I actually like to download mine as a PDF. So if you click on that arrow, there's a drop-down menu there. And I do PDF print just because it gives me a little bit more control over the printer settings. I'm not very techie, so it's a bit difficult for me, but we're going to set the color to CMYK so that we get the colors accurately. And then we're going to select which pages we want to include. So in this case, page 42 and 43 we want to download. And I want to download that in the same document. just so that it prints the way we want to print it. So you can change it by just typing in, or you can check the boxes. So I'm going to go ahead and download. You can see it's downloading at the bottom there. It shows you the progress. So this is the paper that I use for the bookmarks. It's the Staples Ultra Premium Photo Paper, and it's in the matte finish. I like the matte finish. I like the way that the designs print on it. And this paper is good because it's really good quality. I don't like it for greeting cards because I feel like it's a little bit too thin. But for bookmarks, because they're laminated, it's the perfect weight. And it's not particularly expensive compared to some of the other papers, which is good. It keeps the costs down for my customers, so I'm pretty happy about that. So I'm going to go ahead and load this in the printer, and then we'll get to print. So I'm just going to put one sheet of paper in, and the printer will tell me that it's out of paper. So when I want to print the back side or the front side, I can just grab the paper and flip it around and print the other side. I don't want to waste any materials, so I'm just going to open up this Hershey the Chocolate Lab bookmark, because that's the ones I actually need to make. So we go to the print icon, and then we're going to go to properties because we want to make sure that we have the best quality available. I have presets for bookmarks that I use. So I'm going to set my paper source to the rear paper feeder, and then the document size is 8.5 by 11. And then I'm going to check borderless, because remember those edges are really close. Oh, they're at the edge of the paper. So we need to make sure it's borderless. And then when we go to quality, we want to have the best quality because we want our print to come out as good as possible. We want to make sure that the two-sided printing is off, because you would think that you would be able to use two-sided printing because that's kind of what we have. But the way that my printer is with the rear paper feeder, I don't think that it actually can do double-sided printing from the rear paper feeder. I might be completely wrong, but because it's kind of a thicker material to go through, I don't really want to test it. But yeah, you might be able to do two-sided printing if you want with your printer, and then you might have to set up your file a little bit differently too. We're gonna go ahead and print. So this is going to take a little bit of time, so I'm probably going to fast forward through this next little bit. All right, so you can see here that the printer has told me that it's out of paper and it's printed the backside of the bookmarks first. So what I do for my printer specifically, I don't know if yours will be the same, is I take this sheet and then I flip it like this, and then I'm going to put it in again. And this is why you can see now this side, the bookmark goes right to the end, why we moved the other side to the opposite end, because it's going to print out like that. I don't know if what I said just made sense. But again, you might have to play around a little bit with your printer. So I'm going to click on the next button and tell the printer that I've loaded the paper. And then it's going to start printing the opposite side. So while that's printing, I'm going to show you the lamination sheets that you can use. So I would highly recommend this brand. Sorry, it's kind of covered up actually because this came from Amazon. But this is the Avery self-laminating sheets. and they're in 9 by 12, I think. And the cool thing about these is that they have these little, so this is the individual sheet. It has a grid on the back if you wanted to cut them to size. But the cool thing is that they have these little tabs on the top. You can see that you can peel that backing paper, just a thin strip at the top, and that makes it extremely easy to apply it to the paper. I'm not going to use this right now because I actually use a matte laminating sheet. This is actually a glossy, so if you're looking for glossy, highly recommend that Avery because it makes them so much easier to apply. But I've used both and I prefer the look for my bookmarks of the matte laminating sheets. It's just way more difficult to apply them than these ones. And these are really nice and thick too. So I do really recommend these if you're looking for a glossy finish. So that's still printing out. I'm going to show you one more thing. I'll put that back later. So this is another tool that I use. So this is, I think they use these for applying vinyl to surfaces, which is kind of what we're doing. So it has this kind of like fabric-y sort of, it's almost like a suede on the side. And then it has this hard plastic on the other side. The ruler on this is not super accurate, but this came in a 3-pack from Amazon. I'll try and link it. I don't know what the actually official name is for these, but this is what I use to apply the vinyl, and you'll see that in a second when we get to it. Still printing, so I'll see you in a second when that's done. All right, so we're all printed out. You can see we have the bookmarks here, and you can see that the colors are lined up properly. So now it's time to laminate them. So I am actually going to use my matte laminating sheets that I like. But again, those Avery ones, if you like the glossy finish, are much, much easier to apply. Because these ones don't have that extra little tab that makes it more helpful to apply them. So I actually have to peel it back. And it's a little bit awkward. So I'm just going to try and line it up as best I can on the top. And I'm like not very good at this. I almost always get air bubbles in it. So there's a lot of bookmarks that I use at home that have little air bubbles in because I obviously couldn't sell them. So now that we have that one end stuck on, what I do is I grab I actually use the plastic side now. I used to use this fabric side, but I kind of like the plastic side better. So I'm actually gonna just push this over, and you can see I totally messed that up because I was too busy talking, but I got like a massive air bubble in the front one. But it does usually work pretty well to do it that way, but I was just kind of paused too much and I was talking too much. So with the matte laminating sheets, I find that you have to spend a little bit more time like getting the stuff stuck down on the cardboard because it looks a little bit odd sometimes. So I'm just gonna press that down a little bit, and then that one side is done, and I'm gonna do the back side now. And again, it is a little bit more difficult to apply these matte laminating sheets, or not specifically because they're matte, but just because they don't have that little tab. I tried a bunch of different ways, like folding this over and trying to like cut that part off, but it just kind of, everything is awkward. So I'm gonna just choose the quickest awkward way to do it. So I'm gonna try and line this one up a little bit better. It doesn't really matter because that turquoise one is ruined already, so that's okay. And I usually try and give it a little bit of a wipe just to make sure there's no little dust particles on it. So my desk is sometimes covered in stuff from all the things that I do on it. This gets stuck on the end a little bit. Just pull it off. There we go. Oops. Just throw it on the floor. That's usually what happens when I'm in production mode. A lot of my rubbish goes on the floor and then I tidy up afterwards. So just making sure that's fully pressed down. You don't see any weird lines or light air bubbles in it. Just scrape it down. All right, so now we're ready to cut. I'm gonna try and find a different angle. All right, so hopefully this is not too terrible an angle to show you this. So we have it laminated now. I'm gonna get my paper cutter. So you can use whatever you want to cut them. You could use a pair of scissors. You could use a craft knife. Move this along a bit. So you could use anything you want to cut them. I got this because I figured it would be a bit more accurate than just my eye. And these come in all different price ranges. They don't have to be super pricey. But it is a little bit hard sometimes to line up the proper cuts. So I usually try and use my eye rather than using the guidelines, just because sometimes it doesn't come out super straight. So we're going to cut these out. So you can see that this is not, it's not a quick process. I am actually going to be changing the way that I make bookmarks in the future, using I actually have a cutting machine. I have a Juliet, a Sizer Juliet. So I'm going to be using that just to save a little bit of time, and it can cut it out for me. And right. So all the edges are trimmed off now, and we're just going to cut. And the benefit of having the different colors is that it actually makes it really easy to see where you're cutting. Sometimes I have to go back and trim if I got like a little bit of the other color still attached. Yeah, like this one has a little bit of cream on it. This one has a little bit of white on it. So you can see it is a bit of a time-consuming process, but I find it pretty relaxing. Apart from the laminating, I sometimes get a little bit stressed about that because I hate to waste. So if I make a mistake and I waste materials, I don't like that. They do get used. I don't throw them out. Like I use them myself. I'm not going to bother with that one because it's got a bubble in. Okay, so all the bookmarks are trimmed now. So next thing we have to do is cut the corners. Let me just go grab my corner cutter. So this thing, I either got this from Michael's or from Amazon, I can't remember, but it's just it cuts round corners. I have another one which cuts square corners, which I use for my, gift tags. So I just put the corner cutter in and then cut the corner off. I feel like this thing too, like you have to be like really confident in your cut and do it really quickly, otherwise it gets a bit messed up. So one of those corners got a bit messed up. So usually if that happens, I'll go in with a pair of scissors and just kind of clean it up a bit. But yeah, you have to be confident and firm in your cutting when you're using this thing. I don't know if it's the laminate or maybe it's getting a little dull or something, but this is one of the other reasons that I kind of want to start using my cutting machine, because it's gonna, everything is gonna be more perfect than doing it by hand. So I'm gonna have to clean these up quite a bit with the scissors. But if you get a decent quality cutter, you probably don't need to do this. I think maybe this one's just getting a little bit old. So I'm just cleaning up. It's just the laminate that didn't cut. I guess it's maybe a little too flexible or something. So I'm just gonna clean those up. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna punch the hole. So I use this single hole punch here. And then you can see that I have my little circle on the back, so I can use that for a guide. So it's gonna be consistent throughout all of the bookmarks. Here we have all the holes punched in, and I'm just gonna go and grab my tassels. So when I actually sell these at the markets, I actually just put the tassels into a little basket and allow people to choose their own. So in order to get these tassels in here, let me grab this one instead. So these tassels are a multi-pack of different colors from Amazon. They're kind of nice. They feel nice and silky. So I just push the loop through the hole and then push the tassel through the loop. So it's like a girth hitch. And that's easy to remove too if you want to change the color or whatever. That actually looks pretty nice with the cream color. So yeah, that's it. So that's it. So that's how I make bookmarks. Super easy, doesn't require any specialized equipment, maybe just a little bit of time to set up your files for your designs. But yeah, not too much trouble at all. So hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to follow my journey, feel free to like and subscribe.